Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend. Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I've got for you some information in front of me that I'm going to share with you.
Good. I'm very glad to hear that.
I have a guest. I was just trying to buy
Makes the show more interesting.
Could you tell that I was trying to buy some time there? Gabriel Said Reynolds, and he's got a book called The Qur'an And The Bible. And I'm excited to kind of find out what this is all about. I think he compared the two from what I understand. So we'll be chatting with Gabriel later in the show. Got a couple quotes here for you as well. Emmett Fox said, "You must not, under any pretense, allow your mind to dwell on any thought that is not positive, constructive, optimistic, kind." That's true. Don't think about negative things, otherwise you're going to get sad. And then there's another quote here from Monty Python. "If life seems jolly rotten, there's something you've forgotten, and that's to laugh and smile and dance and sing." I believe they would sing that when they did it. It's a good quote, though, isn't it?
Always look on the bright side of life.
Always. I was going to finish it, but you got it. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Make plans to join us for the second annual 80s in the Sand. My wife Heidi and I went last year. It was so much fun. And guess who's going to be there this year? It's Brett Michaels.
Hello, everybody. It's Brett Michaels. I will see you at 80s in the Sand, Tuesday, November 6th, Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. I promise you, this is going to be the ultimate concert, party, best night ever. Let's rock on, my friends.
Get your tickets now at 80sinthesand.com. Over 90% of the tickets are sold. Don't wait. 80sinthesand.com.
John and Heidi.
Today's a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. Let's do the whole darn weekend. Saturday the 11th is National Sons and Daughters Day, so spend some time with the kiddos this weekend. Saturday the 11th is also Presidential Joke Day, Raspberry Bomb Day, B-O-M-B-E. What is that? Raspberry Bombay, maybe, day?
I don't know.
National Bowling Day and National Garage Sale Day. And then Sunday the 12th is National Julienne Fries Day. That's a whole lot different than juvenile fries. I don't know what that is. National Vinyl Record Day, Sunday. National Middle Child Day. Hey, I'm a middle child. Going to celebrate. And National Spirit of 45 Day. So all of those things happening this weekend. Celebrate accordingly. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
If you want to grow your business, you can either add more customers or sell more stuff to your current customers. Or a combination of both, but there's no other way to grow your business. Just those two. Add more customers or sell more stuff to your current customers. And if you already have a relationship with your customers and you have their email address, you can reach out to them with special offers to easily grow sales. And you'll make your customers even happier. Let the experts at Constant Contact help. Get a free trial now. Sign up at betterresultsadvertising.com. That's betterresultsadvertising.com.
Coming up, we've got your brain on drugs. But first, take a listen to this. The national journalists are furious with the Newseum in Washington, D.C. for selling T-shirts that say fake news on them. It's the Newseum. It's at a place that's supposed to honor the work that reporters do. And they're furious. They're like, why, of all places, would you sell these?
That is amazing.
But they had a big demand for them. People were like, I think we should be able to get these here. So, well, now you can.
That's amazing.
At least for a while. I wonder if they're going to keep those. I've got a link to the story if you want to read all about it. I think that's really kind of funny. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend.
John and Heidi.
This time of year, there are many parties, weddings, cookouts, and other events that often include alcohol. If you're drinking, be sure to have a designated driver. If you or someone you know has a problem with drugs or alcohol, there is help. The Addiction Hope and Helpline wants to help. If you feel like it's time to finally get the help you need, there's a toll-free number you can call, 1-800-438-0380. That's the Addiction Hope and Helpline, 1-800-438-0380, 1-800-438-0380.
And this is your brain on drugs. Sheriff deputies in Florida say a woman there is facing battery charges after a domestic dispute with her husband over cocaine. 43-year-old Aileen Soto charged with misdemeanor battery and 2 felony counts of drug possession. Sheriff deputies responded to her residence on Thursday. This story is from a while back, so it wasn't last Thursday. This is one of the many stories that was going to be a fake news or Florida. I've got so many. I finally decided to bring it up here and use it. Anyway, they said the husband got into a fight that turned physical when he refused to buy her some cocaine. He pushed her and grabbed her throat, and she admitted to throwing a phone and framed photos at him. They seized 2 generic Xanax pills that were in her possession. Child Services was notified of the incident because a child was in the residence when it happened.
Wow.
They were taken to jail with no bond. That's a sad story.
That's a very sad story.
So she just wanted cocaine, Heidi. What's wrong with that?
Really?
Oh, yeah. The fact that it's illegal. That's what's wrong with that. I've got a link to the story if you want to read all about it. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Now, big screen, little screen, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com. Leonardo DiCaprio, little Leo, he's in the news, Heidi. Leo, not so little anymore. He's a grown-up now, but he's in talks to reboot the 80s classic sitcom, The Facts of Life. The Facts of Life. What do you think of that?
I think it's poor timing. The lady who played Mrs. Garrett just recently passed away. Don't you think
Well,
that's...
Yeah, maybe they're going to honor her. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is.
I
Did you say that they're looking at rebooting Alf as well?
I saw that online. I don't know if it's true.
I don't know if it's true either. I was looking for it and I didn't see it. Also in the news here, Kanye West is on the verge of becoming a billionaire thanks to the rise of his Yeezy fashion line, Yeezy. I believe Heidi wears exclusively Yeezy
Yes, I do.
clothing.
In fact,
YOLO. No, that's something different? I don't know. Anyway, I've got a link to that story, too. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend. I feel so old when I read stories like, I've never heard of Yeezy. Have
Me
you?
either.
No, I'm so
No.
old. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-719-5601. 800-719-5601. That's 800-719-5601.
John and Heidi.
Now, the scoop of the day brought to you by 80sinthesand.com. Facebook is launching a dating app that will allow users to choose from 5 different genders while looking for dates. So, I know 2. I don't know the rest, but here's the thing I do know. Steer clear of the rest, maybe. I don't know. Does that seem bizarre that there are 5 choices for gender? Because you're either this or you're that. I don't know what all the other ones are, but I
Good
guess
Lord.
the good news is I'm not dating anyway. So people who are getting upset with me,
Thank goodness.
I'm off the market.
Could you
so
imagine having to date in this climate?
that would be kind of weird.
Holy cow.
I'm like, this is all I'm looking for. You're a girl and I'm a boy. Let's just make this work. I don't know what all these other choices are. I have a headache. A new survey by Hopper HQ. Oh, but by the way, before we move on, for those of you who are in those other 5 categories, I'm happy for you. That's cool. Don't take what I just said to heart and get upset with me. You get to live your life and do your thing. I'll live my life and do my thing. I just don't understand all of that, but I don't need to. I'm just an old married dude. So there we go. Back to this now.
You can be upset with me if you want.
A new survey. Her name is Heidi, Heidi. Thank you. A new survey by Hopper HQ found that Kendall Jenner is the world's highest paid Instagram influencer. You know how much she gets for sending a message on Instagram?
No.
$1 million per post.
I would be posting
I would
all
too.
day, every
Like,
day.
What are you doing, John? I'm sorry. I can't go anywhere. I got to post 7 more posts today. This is your 900th post today. I know. I'm going to be a billionaire real soon. Out of my way. What's that guy's name?
Watch out, Kanye.
Yeah, you and your Yeezy clothing line. I got my nosy clothing line. I'm coming right behind you. A survey by Barnes & Noble found that people in the state of Texas buy the fewest self-help books. So they're like, we're in Texas. We don't need your help. We're good. Thanks. The fewest self-help books.
I don't buy self-help books.
You know, I've bought self-help books. I think things that I like would fall under that category, but just because I want to be the best I can possibly
self-help
be.
books about how to handle your procrastination. You just never got around to reading
I didn't
them.
get around to reading that one yet. It's in this pile over here. How to cut through the clutter. Where is it? It's under that junk. I don't know. I will get to it eventually. A pair of identical twin sisters recently married a pair of identical twin brothers, and the ceremony took place where, Heidi?
I don't know.
In a town called Twinsburg.
That's awesome.
Cool is that? I got a link to that story because it just is a fun one right there. And then this story is a little disturbing. That's probably where we're going to end things here. The wife of John Lennon's assassin, her name is Gloria Hiroko Chapman. Remember John David Chapman?
Sure.
His wife, Gloria, confessed just last week that she was aware of, it's Mark David Chapman. I said John, sorry. She was aware of Mark David Chapman's plot to kill the singer. And she just admitted recently that, I knew he was going to do it. Wouldn't she be implicated then somehow? If she knew that he was going to do it and didn't stop him?
Maybe she knew he talked about it but didn't believe that he would actually go through with it. There's a difference there.
There is, but I think that's just, I don't know. That's just a bizarre thing. So, I don't know. I got a link to the story if you want to read all about it. It's in the show notes at johnandheidishow.com. Thanks for listening this weekend.
John and Heidi.
If you want to grow your business, you can either add more customers or sell more stuff to your current customers. Or a combination of both, but there's no other way to grow your business. Just those two. Add more customers or sell more stuff to your current customers. And if you already have a relationship with your customers and you have their email address, you can reach out to them with special offers to easily grow sales. And you'll make your customers even happier. Let the experts at Constant Contact help. Get a free trial now. Sign up at betterresultsadvertising.com. That's betterresultsadvertising.com.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We've got a special guest joining us today, Gabriel Said Reynolds, and we're going to be talking about the difference between the Qur'an and the Bible. How are you doing, sir?
Great. I'm delighted to be with you.
Well, we're excited to have you on the program. Now, you've got a really interesting comparison between the Qur'an and the Bible, and this is something that I'm sure there are a lot of people that don't know the difference. They've heard of both of them. Maybe they've read one of them, but they don't know what the other one is. So what was it that got you interested in doing this project, I guess, to start?
Right. Great question. So, I began studying Islam already in my undergraduate education, and I had some personal connection also because I have distant relatives in the Middle East. So when I was 19 years old, I traveled to the Middle East for the first time and traveled to Jordan and Syria and was really impressed by the intensity of the religious devotion of Muslims. And, you hear the call to prayer through loudspeakers and people speak about religion all the time. And so I wanted to understand better the convictions of Muslims and soon discovered that Islam is a religion which is not a distant religion to Christianity or Judaism, but tells many of the same stories. That Muslims revere Adam and Abraham and Moses and Jesus and Mary. So eventually this research project, which led to the book, The Qur'an and the Bible, was about exploring those connections.
And again, the book is called The Qur'an and the Bible, Text and Commentary. So when you were working on this, who do you even reach out to have the discussions about this? I'm assuming religious leaders on both sides. Is that how you did this?
Right. Well, a lot of the work was going through ancient texts and understanding how, first the Qur'an, but then all of those Jewish and Christian texts which are related to the Qur'an, including the Bible, but other earlier texts present similar stories about Jesus, about the crucifixion, about the story of Adam in the garden. But as I worked, of course, I work in consultation with many different scholars, Muslims, Christians, and Jews. I'm very involved with an organization called the International Quranic Studies Association. Our executive director is a Muslim scholar named Imran al-Badawi. So we exchange all the time stories and ideas about how Muslim belief is connected to Christian and Jewish.
Now, would you say that if everybody knew all the information that you know, they would probably get along with each other a lot better? I think we see all these people that instead of loving each other, they kind of feel like it's me versus you. If they were more well-informed, do you think they would probably get along a whole lot better?
Oh, I think that's absolutely right. But there are 2 points to be made. The first is when we look at the scriptures themselves, we see a lot of commonality. So it's interesting to find that, Jesus is revered in the Quran. In fact, there's a verse which seems to suggest that Jesus is sinless in the Quran. Mary is revealed. There's more information on Mary, the mother of Jesus, in the Quran than what we find in the New Testament. So there are all these connections. So that's one point, the connections that we find in the scriptures. The stories of Jesus' miracles are found. The Annunciation to Mary, where an angel visits her, that's also found in the Quran. But the other point to make is interpretation, and that's where things get tricky. And the way that religion is lived out in the Middle East or even in the United States has to do with the way scriptures are interpreted and the way people in authority apply stories from the Quran or the Bible to the articulation or the development of doctrine. And sometimes that's been done historically in a way that's brought these two religions apart. Muslim scholars or Christian or Jewish scholars have looked at the other scripture and said, well, that's fundamentally different, and the beliefs of them are opposed to the beliefs of our believers. And what this book does is it tries to bring those together again and emphasize again the commonalities between the Bible and the Quran.
Again, the book is called The Quran and the Bible, Text and Commentary. Now, for people that are unfamiliar with with either of these books or maybe even both of these books, let's talk about the time frame in which the Quran is from and the time frame in which the Bible, the New Testament, I believe is what you're talking about mostly, but the time frame that is from as well.
Yeah, the first point to emphasize is that they're very different sorts of books. The Quran is a short book. It's about 2/3 the size of the New Testament. So it can be read through. Some Muslims will read through the whole Quran or sometimes memorize the whole Quran and recite it in a day. So that can be done. And the Quran itself, according to Islamic tradition, was revealed by God to the Prophet Muhammad through the angel Gabriel in the 7th century A.D., so between the years 610 and 632. And this happened in 2 different cities in the western side of what is now Saudi Arabia. So Mecca between 610 and 622, and in Medina between 622 and 632. So the Quran, just in terms of its nature as a book, is fundamentally different. It's all in one language. It's in Arabic. And of course, Muslims insist that the Quran should be read, is properly read in Arabic, because Arabic is the language of God. God pronounced the words of the Quran to the angel Gabriel in Arabic, and the angel Gabriel repeated them in Arabic to the Prophet Muhammad. Whereas the story of the Bible, the Bible is more a library than it is a single book. In the Old Testament, or the Hebrew Bible, it includes books that were written over hundreds of years, most of them in Hebrew, but some in another language called Aramaic. And of course, the New Testament was written in the 1st century in Greek, but it's a collection of a number of different works, including the 4 Gospels, the works of Paul, the Acts of the Apostles, and the Book of Revelation. And so it's a diverse collection of different books, which Christians and Jews would hold for their respective Bibles, that it includes the history of the relationship of God and humanity.
Very cool. Well, I think it's an interesting project for you to take on, and I'm really glad that you did it. I've never really thought to compare the two, but it sounds fascinating. Would you say, as you did this, what would you say was kind of your biggest, maybe your biggest revelation that you have come from, that has come from this project?
Yeah, great question. A lot of people think of the Quran as emphasizing the life of Muhammad and the stories about Muhammad. That's true, but there's a lot of material connected to Christianity and Judaism, and what I emphasize in the book is the connections with Christianity in particular. There are a lot of stories dealing with Jesus, his miracles, healing lepers. There's even a verse which seems to present the crucifixion in a new way, as though someone else besides Jesus is crucified on the cross. And so all of this points to an interesting conclusion that the book makes, that when the Quran was being revealed, there must have been Christians in the context, in the place and time that Muhammad lived, in Mecca and Medina. Islamic tradition says basically there wasn't. Mecca was a pagan city. Medina was a largely Jewish city. This book argues that there must have been Christians there, which means that the relationship between Islam and Christianity began from the very origins of Islam.
Well, thank you again for doing what you're doing, and thank you for putting out this book. I hope that it goes really well for you, and I hope that this helps to bring two sides together as well. I think that would be amazing.
I agree emphatically, and I'm grateful to be on your show. Thank you.
Again, our guest today, we've got Gabriel Said Reynolds, and the book is called The Qur'an and the Bible, Text and Commentary. It's available right now. We're going to throw a link to it in the show notes to make it really easy to find, and you can find those show notes at johnandheidishow.com.
John and Heidi.
If you want to grow your business, you can add more customers or sell more stuff to your current customers, or a combination of both. There's no other way to grow your business. Just those two. Add more customers or sell more stuff to your current customers. And if you already have a relationship with your customers and you have their email address, you can reach out to them with special offers to easily grow your sales, and you'll make your customers even happier. Let the experts at Constant Contact help. Get a free trial now. Text Radio Trial to number 22828. That's Radio Trial, all one word, to number 22828.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Approximately, I don't know for sure that anybody could give you an exact number, but approximately 40,000 Americans are injured every year by toilets. Have you ever been injured by a toilet?
I don't believe so.
I was injured by a toilet seat when I was a little boy.
I bet you were. I have actually heard this story.
I asked my mommy to kiss my owie, and she said no.
Yeah.
And I think we probably already talked about this enough. Let's move on. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend. That got a little too much information there. Thanks for listening.
John and Heidi.
Make plans to join us for the second annual 80s in the Sand. My wife Heidi and I went last year. It was so much fun. And guess who's going to be there this year? It's Brett and Michaels.
Hello, everybody. It's Brett Michaels. I will see you at 80s in the Sand, Tuesday, November 6th, Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. I promise you, this is going to be the ultimate concert, party, best night ever. Let's rock on, my friends.
Get your tickets now at 80sinthesand.com. Over 90% of the tickets are sold. Don't wait. 80sinthesand.com.
John and Heidi.
Time now for the grandiloquent word of the day. Pelf. What do you think pelf means? P-E-L-F. Pelf.
I don't know.
It sounds like something that... No, I'm going to just move on to this. I'll read what it is. Stolen goods.
Oh.
If you pilfered something, what you pilfered was pelf.
That makes sense.
Money, especially when gained in a dishonest or dishonorable way, is pelf. Money or wealth, especially when regarded in contempt or acquired by reprehensible means. Pelf. You want to use the word in the sentence here? Should I read this to you? Pelf?
Please do. I am on the edge of my seat.
Please tell you about pelf. Patrick and the pirates' primary pastime is pilfering paltry pelf from passing pinnacles.
Did you write that sentence?
I did not. But I'm really glad that I got to read it. I don't know why it makes me smile when there's a bunch of words that all have the same letters together. But it does. Why does that make me smile?
Sounds like something you would
It's
have
because I'm a giant nerd. That's why it makes me smile. Pelf, today's grandiloquent word.
John and Heidi.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-719-5601. 800-719-5601. That's 800-719-5601.
Time now for some weird news this weekend. Joel Schmidt sat beside his father while he was resting in a hospital bed, recovering from a horrific fall on a ladder. At the time, the Little Rock, Arkansas resident was unsure if his father, at the time was 74, if he was going to make it or not. While they were sitting there, he joked about his father's burial to lighten the mood. He said, "If you hadn't told me what you wanted, I might have just buried you in a fishing boat." But he said, that's when my idea came about. Caskets that look like mini fishing boats. Now he has a company called Glory Boats, and they make customized caskets for those who love the outdoors and love reeling in some fish. Their slogan, celebrating the lives of outdoorsmen, captures the very message. The boats are $2,800. They come in 3 colors, woodland camo, marsh grass, and pink camo. I think that's kind of cool. There's actually a link here if you want to see what they look like. That's not for everybody, but for somebody, that's going to be an awesome thing. Like for your final resting place to look like a little fishing boat, don't you think, Heidi?
Yes.
You're smiling over there thinking that this is not what you want.
I will say it off the air.
All right. Well, for some people, that's going to be awesome. For other people, not so much. But if that's your thing, I do have a link in the show notes at johnandheidishow.com. Time now for your moment of duh from the state of Minnesota, where the police handed out 16,580 expensive speeding tickets in a 2-week crackdown in the month of July alone.
That is crazy.
2 weeks. That's a ton. 16,500 in Minnesota. Wow. And here's why it's the moment of duh. Because of some of the excuses. One person was making a run for the border. No, not going to Canada, even though that borders the northern part of Minnesota. They were trying to get to Taco Bell before they closed. He was going 99 miles an hour. 99 miles an hour? Another guy was going 45 miles per hour in a 35 mile per hour zone, but he was hurrying home because he just borrowed a cake pan and was excited to get home and start cooking. Maybe you just don't admit that. They say you get to see a lot of different things, people going 65 or 70. And he says, but I had never seen anything like this. The guy that was going 99 to get to Taco Bell. He said, at that speed, you're like a rocket on wheels. So, wow. Would you admit that? Where's your rush? Where are you going? Oh, I'm trying to get to Taco Bell before they close.
No, I would not admit that.
Don't tell me that. Thanks for listening. This is today's Moment of Duh.
John and Heidi.
If you want to grow your business, you can add more customers or sell more stuff to your current customers or a combination of both. There's no other way to grow your business. Just those two. Add more customers or sell more stuff to your current customers. And if you already have a relationship with your customers and you have their email address, you can reach out to them with special offers to easily grow your sales, and you'll make your customers even happier. Let the experts at Constant Contact help. Get a free trial now. Text Radio Trial to number 22828. That's Radio Trial, all one word, to number 22828.
John and Heidi.
Time now for Fake News or Florida, where we try to trick Heidi and see if we can fool her into believing some flubbery that we made up. Or maybe it's a true story. She has to decide. Tell me, Heidi, what do you think?
Okay.
Fake news or Florida? 30-year-old Florida man arrested for indecent exposure and breaching the peace and resisting arrest after peeing on a car and running away. Fake news or Florida?
Florida.
That is a true story. Fort Walton Beach police, they watched a man stumble outside of a residence, stagger to a vehicle that was parked on the side of the road, urinate on the driver's side of the vehicle. That's when the officer confronted the man, who did not stop peeing. He asked him to cover himself and sit on the ground. The man complied, but while the officer was talking to the owner of the residence, the man stood up and ran away. They tackled the man and took him into custody. So that is a bad plan right there.
That's a very bad plan.
It's a very bad plan. You know, that could have been our Brain on Drugs story as well, because the guy was drunk while he was doing this. But you almost have to be, don't you? I mean, why else would you do something like that? That's what happens, I guess, in the state of Florida, because we have so many stories like this, and that's how this became Fake News or Florida.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always like to wrap things up around here with good news, and I think this is good news, so this probably counts. Our good news comes your way courtesy of Odiva. It's a monthly subscription service just for the ladies. All the details at radiosavings.com. And here's the good news for today. It says, watch drunk men end the night by toiling each other to fix a city's broken bike rack. You wouldn't necessarily think a story would start out with a couple of drunk people, but that's exactly what happened. People might assume a group of drunken young men wandering the city streets at 3 a.m. is a recipe for trouble, but not these lads. After an evening of revelry in Boston, England, 3 friends were getting ready to chow down on some late-night kebabs, and they saw a mangled bike rack that was in need of repair. Since the young men were all avid bicyclists and they knew the rack had been damaged by a car that reversed into it a couple weeks ago, they thought, you know what? Let's just fix this. So they did. The partygoers took it upon themselves to try to fix with their own bare hands. There's closed caption footage that show the 3 men collectively pulling on the rack with all their might. They worked on it for 13 minutes. They can be seen trying different angles and tactics to bend the bike rack back into shape. Finally, with the help of 2 more young men, they managed to pull the metal bar back to its original place. Onlookers cheer as the men, all in their 20s, give high fives and rejoice their victory. The footage was uploaded to the internet by the city with the Good Samaritans, all 5 of them, when it was all said and done, being praised for their public service. I think that's kind of funny.
I think it's great.
Yeah,
Here they would have gotten a public intoxication.
Yeah, probably. So that I think is really cool. So they were under the influence, but they decided, hey, you know what? Let's fix this bike rack. We got nothing better to do at 3 a.m.
That's pretty cool.
I think it is. I've got a link to the story, and I'm glad that they did something constructive instead of destructive.
Yeah.
So I've got a link to the video and all the details in the show notes at johnandheidishow.com. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great weekend. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.